30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in on what is all of a sudden a beautiful Monday afternoon in Nashville. Did I do something to our little table over here? I guess I did. Anyway, welcome in. We're going to do something a little bit different today. In fact, it's going to be a lot different. We're going to take virtually the entire show after the update and get into the whole downtown stadium, the new Dome Stadium that eventually will be the home of the Tennessee Titans. And with that in mind, we have several guests that will join us. Metro Councilwoman at Large Burkley Allen will be here. You'll find that she really knows her stuff when it comes to this subject. I have heard her speak on it. Very impressive. The outgoing President and CEO of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Butch Spyridon, a guy I will claim has done probably more for this city in the last 35 years than anybody. Amazing what he has done. And then right around 3 o'clock, Titans President Burke Nihill will join us. The Titans have unveiled some potential ticket options in the last few days, and we will get with him about all of that. First, let me go to Murfreesboro and say hello to Kelly Holcomb. Kelly, how are you?
I'm doing good, George. How you doing?
Doing good. This is a little different than normal, but you know what? It's good. I think we're going to make it work, and I think it'll be an interesting show.
I think it's going to be informative. I really do. I'm excited about hearing what the question that you're going to answer and seeing what they give us.
You've studied up a little, haven't you?
I don't know if I've studied up a bunch, but I've looked at the stuff. So it's, I don't know if I'm not as versed in this as you are, but hey, I've been in situations where, and I'm going to ask him some things. And I was in a situation where we went when I was with the Indianapolis Colts and played Green Bay up there, and they were in a renovation. So it obviously brings a lot to the community. It brings money. It's a source of revenue for the community. And I just can't get over that, we talked about it today, but $292 million for the last stadium, and this is $2.1 billion, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, and I will claim that back then it was the last of the decently priced stadiums that were out there. For instance, the Grizzlies' 18,000 seat arena, FedEx Forum, cost more than the Titans' first stadium. How about that one?
No, I agree with you. I mean, the cost of everything is skyrocketed. It's just amazing. And to see what these stadiums are being built for, like the Dallas Cowboys' new, gargantuan of a place. I mean, that place was so expensive. It's amazing what things cost now.
So when you were in Cleveland, you played in the new Brown Stadium, didn't you?
I did, yep.
So you remember a cost on that?
I don't remember the cost on that, George. I just remember that, like stadiums, and I'll ask this too, like stadiums have been icons forever. Like, we talked about it the other day, like Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, like, the Orange Bowl in Miami. I mean, those places are kind of iconic places, and they lasted for many, many, many years. And now it seems like the new age is, everybody's wanting these big luxury suites, and they're wanting to get something new. They're wanting to get a Super Bowl there. So, they're tearing the newer stadiums down now and going with these new stadiums, these new state-of-the-art stadiums. But I don't remember how much the Cleveland Browns Stadium was. I just remember I was playing. We were playing the San Diego Chargers. They're the LA Chargers now, but it was the San Diego Chargers, and we had a blizzard coming off Lake Erie, and I was out before the game, and there was somebody in the top section of the stadium goes, this is for all you, and he said, a-holes who wanted an outdoor stadium. Why didn't we build an indoor stadium? And you know what? At that point, when the wind was blowing and the snow was going sideways and it was about 5 degrees, I wanted to know the exact same thing.
Yeah. Well, you're right about one thing. The stadium business has gotten completely different. Whoever the father of the luxury box was, that's what's changed the stadium world is, the club level with the suites, the food amenities. They didn't have that in that old Cleveland Stadium, the Mistake on the Lake. That was sort of a mid-'90s kind of deal, and it's really been a game changer.
It's been a game changer for the owners because I think the owners get all the money from those luxury suites. I don't think they have to share any of that. So that's why they're trying to put all these luxury suites in all these stadiums, because they don't have to share the revenue with the players with that.
Yeah. So, Kelly, let me do this. Let me get with both Billy and David and find out what they're up to, see where the update is going. I saw that picture. What was that?
George, I'm having some trouble with our camera, so you'll just hear the voices of David and I. And actually, David's mic, because we have a lot of mics today.
Yeah. So you've blown David out of the water.
Not on purpose. David, if you want to speak, you can.
Okay, what do you got update-wise?
We got NBA playoffs. George, yesterday, Sixers beat the Celtics 116-115. James Harden, 42 points. Series is tied at 2. And the Suns beat the Nuggets 129-124. Devin Booker, 36 points. That series is tied at 2 as well.
Did you watch that game?
I did watch that game.
Claim that never in the history of the NBA playoffs has there been better offensive firepower and execution than what I saw last night in the Phoenix-Denver game. It was unbelievable.
It was really good. Those guys, Devin Booker and Kevin Durant both scored 36. Jokic scored 53, which is unbelievable. He's just to watch that guy. He is just so good. He makes shots. It was too bad what happened at the end of the game, but the games that the Suns have won at their place. Denver has been in the game. The first couple of games in Denver, Phoenix didn't have a prayer, and it's obviously down to a 3-game series now. But you're absolutely right. Those guys are making shots. They're making plays. Jamal Murray is a really good player. They've got guys that know their roles, are situational players, and it's a fun series to watch.
Oh, yeah. And so they go back at it. Game 5, Tuesday night in Denver. Keep going, Billy.
Game 4 tonight, Knicks at the Heat. Heat lead that series 2-1. Do they go up 3-1? We'll have to see about that. Warriors, Game 4 at the Lakers tonight. Lakers can go up 3-1. Who would have thought?
Saw that one coming. Kelly, about the time you say, okay, the Lakers are better, and I have not believed that at any point, but this is exactly when Golden State will pull what out of the fire. I don't rule out that Golden State wins tonight.
No, the Golden State Warriors are champions, so they're not going to give up. When the going gets tough, they step up to the plate. They've done it. They've had so many championships. I think they're a better all-around team than the Lakers, but if Anthony Davis plays and he wants to play, he's the key in that series. They can't cover him. And, sometimes he wants to play and he's unbelievable, and sometimes he just goes out there and I don't understand it. If he played like he plays on every night very well, then it would be hard for teams to beat them. And he's a matchup nightmare for Golden State right now because they have nobody that can guard him.
No, and the splits between when he's great and when he's mediocre have been huge, and that's causing the Lakers a big problem because they don't know game in, game out what to expect out of him. Billy, what else you got?
NHL Devils beat the Canes 8-4. last night, but Carolina still leads the series 2-1. So how about that output? Panthers beat the Leafs 3-2. Florida up 3-0.
Florida Panthers are the Predators of 17. If you really look at it, what they are doing is almost Predator-like from 5 years ago.
Because once you get that round one victory over the best team in the NHL all season, the confidence that gives your team is, I mean, that feels like the Preds that year against the Blackhawks.
Sure does.
Kraken beat the Stars 7-2, series tied at 1.
Did you see any of that?
I did not.
So after they scored 5 goals in the second period, which is the most that any NHL team has scored this year in the playoffs. I watched a lot of it. Their crowd would go in the, after their music, it would be "Let's go Kraken," and they were wild. Good for Seattle.
Yeah, that happy for that city. Tonight, Golden Knights and the Oilers. That series is tied at 1. Other NFL news, George, Jim Irsay is making it clear that Andrew Luck is off limits after learning the availability of Luck was the subject of an inquiry last year by the Commanders. Irsay took to social media last night to warn teams about any correspondence regarding the long-retired Colts quarterback. If any NFL...
Let me say something, though, on that. Kelly, I know it involves tampering, but let's say a team in their war room says, Andrew Luck, pretty darn good quarterback, and nobody's heard from him for a while. How else are you going to find out if he'd be willing to come back if you don't talk to him? Respect the tampering rule is stupid.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that either, George. That tampering rule can get it can get a little dicey there. The Miami Dolphins got caught last year talking to Tom Brady, and yeah, I don't understand that either. Andrew Luck's been gone for a long time. I mean, is that something that he's put out there, or is that just people just talking?
No, it's a fishing expedition is all it is.
Yeah.
And apparently he's not interested in coming back, and continues to make that clear. But I got to tell you, if I'm looking for a quarterback, you're darn tootin' I want to know if he's open to the possibility of it.
I totally agree, and I don't know how you do that either. I don't know if you go through a third-hand source. I'm not sure how you get in touch with him, but the only way you do get in touch with him to call him. I mean, he's been retired for so long. I don't understand that either, George.
I mean, look, I've said a lot of ugly things about the Commanders and their ownership, but on this one, I see their point. Anyway, Billy, what else?
Suns owner apparently doesn't want Jokic suspended for Game 5. Shocker. He was assessed a technical foul in the second quarter of Game 4 when he tried to snatch the ball from Matt Ishbia, who was sitting courtside, and hit the Suns owner with an elbow. It's a crazy story. We'll see how this plays out.
It was. First of all, in the heat of battle, Jokic was trying to get the ball out of his hands to get a break started. And it didn't look like Ishbia was willing to hand over the ball. It had a little bit of Kevin Stallings, Joakim Noah, is what it had. But then it was in the stands in the corner. Kelly, I don't think the NBA is going to suspend Jokic, who, by the way, last night was unbelievable.
Unbelievable. I mean, he's unbelievably talented, but I can understand, he did give him kind of a forearm shiver. The owner knew what he was doing. I mean, he knew he was trying to get a break, and he was going to hold on to that ball. And, in the heat of the moment, things like that happen. It was quite comical, but I don't think he needs to be suspended or anything, but I can certainly see that happen. And I certainly hope that doesn't happen, because he's a remarkable player who just makes shots. He's kind of a leader of the team. He hustles, which is, for a big guy running up and down the court like he does, it's pretty impressive. So I just can't say enough about what that guy can do.
It's him and Joel Embiid as the best centers in that league. And some of it is just your personal preference. But I'll say this, Jokic is a stud. Period.
Stud.
Billy, what else?
That's all we got in the update, George.
Okay, let me tell you a little bit of how this is going to go. We got to kind of play it by ear. Metro Councilwoman at Large, Burkley Allen, is here. Butch Spyridon is not yet here. And that obviously is a little bit of a cause for concern, but we'll sort of play it by ear. And then at the top of the hour, Titans president and CEO Burke Nihill will join us. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to take basically the entire show today and talk about this stadium issue because we think this is something you all are interested in. Stick around. From the beautiful Fordyce Center in Bellevue, this is the George Plaster Show.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from. And for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Lanes. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
We are back. I'm told that Butch Spyridon is about 5 minutes away and perhaps the hardest working person in Nashville, Tennessee. This whole idea spawned from this poor lady getting roped into a speaking engagement at the 11th hour. My downtown Kiwanis Club was supposed to have the vice mayor, Mr. Shulman, a couple of weeks ago. He got sick. And Metro Councilwoman at Large, Burkley Allen, took over. By the way, you did a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Happy to step in.
Yeah, get close on that mic.
All right.
Yeah, beautiful. So obviously this is a subject that has gotten a lot of interest in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area. Kind of tell people what it's been like for the council and what things you all have been through.
The council has been working on this issue for at least 9 months. We began having a process where we had committee meetings so that we could get all the information laid out on the table. This has been the most open process we've ever had on one of these kinds of big deals. Usually there's a lot of discussing that goes on and negotiating, and we get 6 weeks to deal with it, and we're done. So to be able to, under the leadership of Council Bob Mendez, have a process where we got to look very thoroughly at the old lease and learn what it said and what it obligated us to, and then to talk about what the possibilities for the new lease were. We also voted on the term sheet just to say, here are the things we're going to start as our negotiating. So we got to weigh in to some degree on the front end. And then there was a very community-involved process, as you probably know. We took this to the four corners of the county and had community meetings, and every one of those where we simply laid out what's there now and what the options were, and then listened to the people speak about what they thought about what was being presented.
So one of the things I guess you all learned early was that the concept of refurbishing what is today Nissan Stadium really went out the window.
That was a surprise and a disappointment. We initially thought that we were looking at a renovation, and the initial estimates were somewhere on the order of 300 million. And then when we went back to a contractor to get sort of up-to-date numbers, this was in the middle of all the COVID supply chain issues, that 300 million became 600 million. And then when we looked at the keeping it in, quote, first-class condition, which is essentially keeping up with the Joneses and being as cool as all the other stadiums are, that began to make that price go to possibly as high as 1.8 million. That's something there's a lot of controversy over what that number really was, but we know it was never less than 300 million to get it to what the standards are that today is considered first-class condition.
So the landscape has changed considerably, and I can remember when then Mayor Bredesen and Bud Adams met, and like a fool, on the air, I was doing a talk show at the time, and I said, hell will freeze over before we get an NFL franchise. Well, this just in, as is often the case, I was wrong. But at the time, Nashville really didn't have any leverage in negotiating, and that's one of the things you all have learned.
Exactly. I mean, we were not the it city, and to get someone to come here, we pretty much had to just give away the store. I mean, we said, we'll build this thing for you. You get to use it all you want to, and we'll beg to use it a few times a year. We won't be able to develop around the area, and we'll pay for it. We'll do the maintenance, and we'll be in charge of keeping it in first-class condition. That's what it took to get it there. There was a public referendum where the people said, yes, we want this, and we're willing to use our property tax dollars for that. But we're in a different situation now.
Believe me, I know all about that referendum. May 7th, 1996. It was, if I do the math, 27 years ago yesterday. And my buddy, the late Rick Region, was one of the real driving forces. And before the referendum, the truth of it is, well, let me say this, before the NFL Vote Yes movement, that referendum was not going to pass.
I can't speak to what people were thinking, but people love football. I mean, it's the American sport, pastime. So I'm not sure what went into convincing people that was worth spending our money on, but it was a public decision that was made back then.
When Butch gets here, obviously Butch has been one of this project's biggest cheerleaders. I know you're going to hear from him in a little while that even though he is about to retire, he is going to spend a considerable amount of time trying to get the NFL to put a Super Bowl here. What kind of things, as you all were looking at the stadium, what were the concerns that you all had as a council?
As a council, the biggest concerns we have are trying to understand what the community is saying. And as I said, we had hearings in all four corners of the stadium, and we hear from a lot of constituents by email, and so many people just expressed the sentiment that they wanted to make sure that their tax dollars weren't being spent on something that they might not necessarily ever go to. I mean, we have at least 69,000 fans here that attend regularly, but there are lots of other folks that may not ever go to a Titans game. So, are we spending their money on that? And that was part of the reason this deal ended up making sense to a majority of council members, is this new deal shifts that burden from the property tax to tourist taxes and other sources of funding.
Okay, let's take a look, if we have a moment. Billy, can we put the graphic up there about the funding sources and we'll talk through these for a minute or two before Butch gets here. So $840 million of this is listed as team plus PSLs plus NFL.
Correct.
Okay. What does that mean exactly?
So our understanding is that that's the one piece that wasn't there in the original deal, that now the owners and the fans actually have a significant amount of skin in the game. So we were never given a breakdown of how much of that is NFL, how much is Titans ownership, and how much is PSLs. But for us, it was just important that the largest single chunk of that three pieces of the funding now was coming from the people that were directly benefiting from it.
Are you disappointed in retrospect that you all did not ask the question of the breakdown?
I think we were just working so hard to field the questions that were coming to us. I'm not sure we could have handled more questions, but it's important that part of the conversation happens now, I think.
Okay, Sports Authority equals $760 million. What does that mean?
So the Sports Authority is the way that the city will funnel our money through that, and that $760,000 is actually several.
60 million.
Excuse me. Big difference. Big difference.
Oh, listen, I goofed earlier today.
Just 3 zeros. Yeah. So 760 million. Excuse me. Those funding streams will come from new sources, mostly that the state has authorized for an enclosed stadium only. The biggest of those initially is going to be another 1% on the hotel motel tax. So again, this is tourists helping to pay for that.
Does that worry anybody that thing gets to a point where it should it be a concern? Let me ask it that way.
I think it's an issue, but I mean, you will look at what hotel prices did this weekend when we had, a population equal to the city of Chattanooga for Swift Mania. And they will go back down again after this weekend. So our hotel prices are so much all over the board now, so demand driven. I'm not sure that 1% shows up anywhere. I think everyone would love it if our hotel prices were like we remember them being 10 years ago, but those days are not coming back anytime soon.
Okay, at the bottom is the state of Tennessee, $500 million. And I think most of us know that Governor Lee basically put that out there and said, if you will dome this stadium, this is what our contribution would be, because we think it's a very important piece of driving people, the ability to have a dome. How did all that play out? Who approached who to begin with?
I can't say who approached who. I can just say, I know on Sunday night, there were an awful lot of very wet Taylor Swift fans who would have loved for that stadium to be domed today. And I think the major selling point on that is just the ability to be able to have more events throughout the year. And then secondly, it will last longer. And as you mentioned earlier, you used to be able to build stadiums and expect them to last for generations, and they should. I spent my junior year in Germany, and I lived in a building that was built in the 1200s. People can make buildings last a long time, but it's a lot easier if they're enclosed. And so the advantages of enclosing it, I think, sold themselves, particularly after what we saw, just this weekend is the latest example of that. But I will circle back around, if I might, to the $760,000 from the Sports Authority.
$760 million.
I did, $760 million. I wish we could build this stadium for thousands of dollars. But the other biggest piece of that is sales tax that is being diverted from inside the stadium and also from the new area, 130 acres around the stadium. And that'll be that sales tax that's not happening now, and it won't exist or come to us except for a dome stadium. So that's the other. And then there's some ticket taxes that also will help pay that back. So just to fill in the rest of the pieces of that. And then back to the $500 million that is coming from the state.
We've got an unusual situation. We got a lot of people in a lot of different places. Hopefully, from a being able to hear standpoint, we can make it work. Kelly, I know you've been listening to this. If you've got some questions for Councilwoman Burkley Allen, fire away.
Well, she's obviously answered a bunch of my questions that I had written down here. I just remember, and she talked about it earlier, but like these stadiums have been iconic. I played in Cleveland. They had a new stadium in Cleveland. They had an iconic stadium in the old municipal stadium that had been there forever. You look at the Orange Bowl in Miami. Why did we, this stadium is not very old. And I think you made a good point about the Taylor Swift concert the other night, but why did they want a new stadium right now?
The biggest issue is what it takes to be in, quote, first class condition. And it's sort of like people talk about the high cost of living today, but it's actually the cost of high living. I mean, now we expect to have a washer and a dryer and a television and all those things in our house. And in a new stadium, we expect an amazing jumbotron and the luxury suites and all that. And taking what we have today and bringing it up to those standards, and particularly covering it from the elements, that just requires some structural requirements that by the time you add whatever it takes to hold a dome on, you've bought yourself a new one anyway. I won't say that it's not frustrating. I'm a mechanical engineer in my day job, and to see that you build something and it barely lasts as long as the bond was issued for is frustrating. We should be able to build things that last well beyond what it took to finance them.
Well, and one of the things that's going to come up is the comparison with Bridgestone Arena, which basically was built around the same time. And I don't think anybody would deny the fact that arena is in much better condition than the football stadium.
Can't argue with that. It is enclosed. It hadn't had the rain falling on it. Been subject to the changes of weather.
Kelly, what else?
Yeah, and you kind of answered just what I was talking about. But when I played for the Indianapolis Colts, I remember, and it was early in my career, I can remember going up to Green Bay, and we had to dress in trailers because Green Bay was renovating the stadium. Now, it's a little bit different right now because that was Title Town back in the day. I know Tennessee doesn't have that tradition. We're trying to get there, but the renovation factor, like when they finished, I got to go back up there, when I played for the Buffalo Bills, and their place was unbelievable. I mean, the people are getting married there, they're having weddings, their stadium is it's unbelievable. They put all the suites, and that's what the owners want, so they can get all that money. So was it just with the renovation? Was it just a cost deal where, by the time you do the renovations, you could have built a new stadium?
I think that's a piece of it, and I don't know what the requirements were for other stadiums. Who was in charge of keeping it in first class condition? What we know we had here was that whole burden was on the taxpayers' back, and we had the opportunity for a new deal that puts the burden of maintenance on the owners' back and on the sports fans' back, and that was an appealing alternative rather than saying, okay, taxpayers, we worked hard to get this group here, and the deal that we made at the time put the whole burden on you, and to keep them here, we're going to continue to spend your money, or we've got this other option that's been put in front of us where they're going to take on that burden. I think that is the greatest appeal, is just shifting that burden from the taxpayers to the people who are going to be the beneficiaries of it.
Gotcha. Well, and I don't know if you can answer this. This is probably more of a Burke Nihill question, but I'm not being devil's advocate. I just was reading the other day, the National Football Players Association, they did a deal because all players want to play on a grass surface. And, I know Nissan Stadium is a grass surface right now, but with all the events that y'all are talking about, which they still have a bunch of events, I was looking down through all the notes, and I can't believe that, that Nashville has more events in the stadium than Dallas or Los Angeles, which is pretty impressive. But would that be a deal where, you could do it like the Arizona Cardinals, or bring grass in? I don't know if, this might be not the one to ask you, but, with all the things that you're going to have, it seems like you're going to have a artificial surface. And if the NFL comes back, because I think a bunch of, that's the NFL Players Association, that's their gripe about that. They're getting more injuries on the artificial turf than grass fields, and players would much rather play on grass fields. So, does that weigh into the situation where you have something where you can do both? Or, I don't know. I'm I'm just kind of thinking in that lines because it is kind of a debate right now with the NFLPA.
That is definitely a Burke Nihill question. I would advocate for anything that reduces injuries, because that's my least part of football, is watching the whole action stop while you try to find out if somebody's okay. But I hope that Burke can deal with that one when he gets here.
Burkley, what was the next most important thing that you found out of the town hall meetings?
The biggest thing was just the issue of people saying, we don't want our money being spent on this. We want our money being spent on schools and sidewalks and the things that matter to us.
Right.
And our understanding was that shifting to this new lease allows us to free up $30 million that's still owed on the existing ones. The Titans are paying that off. $32 million in maintenance that they have already paid because Metro just was trying to do other things and they got tired of waiting for us, that we owed them. They're waiving that. And then there's some further maintenance that we would be obligated to on the order of $47 million that will now come from the Sports Authority from money that's there available from other things. So being able to say to people, that money is now freed up to go to the things that we're hearing from you that you care about, and the possibility now of not having acres of asphalt on the other side of the river, but maybe turning that into public amenities that includes green space and parks and areas that can be used by the public in a much more pleasant atmosphere, I think is also going to be a big benefit. That was not, no one came to us and said we want more parks on the east side of the river, but they do say we want this to benefit everybody. And we think whatever you do needs to be for the benefit of all the people. And I believe that what we will end up with, if we all pay attention and ensure that all the promises that have been made are fulfilled, and I believe they will be, then I think it will be beneficial for a wide spectrum of the city. And that's really important.
Okay, we're going to go to the break. I see Butch Spyridon in the back coming in. Nashville's hardest working individual, a guy that I think has done incredible things for this city. We will go to the break on that. And as we do, let me talk to you about the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. I'm excited about it. I'll admit on the front end that I have never been to a Grand Prix before, but friends of mine who have absolutely raved about what's going on here. It has been very impressive. Hello, Butch. Go ahead and say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, this is living proof that Butch is here. Tickets are now available. If you will go to musiccitygp.com, take advantage, get involved. This is a cool event, and we're back with more in just a moment.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
For over 35 years, Wilson Bank & Trust has been committed to providing customized banking solutions to help individuals, families, and businesses in Tennessee achieve their goals. As your full-service community bank, we are proud to offer loans with competitive rates, local decision-making, and fast, friendly service from our experienced lenders. No matter where you are on your financial journey, Wilson Bank & Trust is ready to help you take the next step. Visit your nearest Wilson Bank & Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to AlacoFineWoodFloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. That global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
The panel here. This is Metro Councilwoman at Large, Burkley Allen.
Yay.
This is Butch Spyridon, the outgoing President and CEO of the Convention and Visitors Bureau, a dear friend and a guy that I believe has probably spent more time and done more good than any Nashvilleian over the last 30 plus years to help this city. Now, I need you.
There aren't many of us left that have been here 30 years.
I need you to help me here.
Oh,
yeah, there we go.
Not many of us left that have been around 30 years. No, I'm scared. I'll see myself.
Are you really?
Yeah.
So, are you aware of the little soiree he had to retire?
I missed it.
Oh,
well,
my
we did
God.
it on a council night. Not necessarily intentional,
I
but
was-
when we realized it was a council night, we kind of just tried not to rub it in that we were
Y'all were
having a
having
beverage
fun.
while
We
you
were doing the people's work.
You were doing the
till
Lord's work.
late in the evening, early in the morning.
Yeah.
So why has this stadium thing been something that you have really, it's almost like it's been a personal thing for you?
You know, that might be a good description. It was personal. This town deserves it. This town has earned it. I care as much about the general fund and the city's well-being as anybody. And to think that we could relieve the general fund, and you can argue what the number was or is, but maybe best case, current debt, past due repairs, plus a renovation, it's $500 million at best. So if we can get that off the general fund books and put it in a dedicated revenue stream with money that doesn't exist, it's a good deal for Nashville. And we get to book a Super Bowl.
Okay. So I'll get back to the Super Bowl part in a minute. How did it come about that you got so heavily involved? What's the machinery that does that?
Well, my personality first, being close with Burke, Nihill, and kind of paying attention all the way. And when he didn't look like he needed help, we were fine to watch. When it looked like it was getting stuck in the trenches, we called and said, this is too important. We need to rally the troops. We need to help. The story's getting muddled. Fortunately, council members like Burkley, you understood the benefit for Nashville. But when you take $800 million from the Titans and the NFL, $500 million from the state, and by my math, $600 million from the hotel tax. That's $1.9 billion that doesn't exist today, that isn't available, and that pretty much takes care of 90% of the debt. It's it's a good deal, but that got lost in the weeds with critics.
Okay, let's run through a couple of them.
A couple of critics we can run over.
Well,
I didn't say that.
but things that get discussed, water cooler kind of talk.
Sure.
When you first started talking about the Super Bowl, and I know I was one of them saying, wait a minute, a 60,000 seat capacity, the NFL is never going to go for. Who at the NFL has told you that such is not the case?
Well, let me back up and say the Titans are not so dumb to not be talking to the NFL the whole time. And the message from the league was we're more interested in experiences than we are the highest number. So it was much more about common areas, viewing, keeping up with the times. You're competing with a 70-inch screen at home. So that's the mentality. I will tell you, according to Burke, the numbers now back up to 63,000. And all along, we knew we could probably add at least 5,000 seats on a temporary basis. So we can now think we can get it to 68,000 if we need to. But the league was involved in that conversation. This was not a dumbass Nashville, we're just going to do 60 and hope. Not at all.
So one of your finest moments in running the Convention and Visitors Bureau was the NFL draft. For those who don't know it, he's Greek, I'm Greek, and perhaps maybe we shouldn't have been doing this, but sometimes communion takes a little while. And over about a 15-year period, you kept telling me of all your negotiations with the NFL, and that, by golly, over your dead body, you were going to bring an NFL draft to Nashville. And I think we all know the draft was an unbelievable success. Is that the reason that we could get a Super Bowl?
It doesn't hurt. The NFL absolutely loves Nashville. The NFL absolutely sees the package that this city has built with hotels, restaurants, entertainment, stadium, convention center, all walkable. Then they have seen us execute a big event. So we have all the pieces. Without naming names, there are people in significant places at the NFL that have said, you should be in a rotation. It shouldn't be a one-time thing. And I believe that. Matter of fact, I'm sure of that. How's that?
Okay. I like it. Now, let's, Billy, if we can, let's show the graphic about events in the new stadium that have been talked about. Let's see if we can put that up there. There, not that one, that one. Okay, so who have you been? I mean, one of your jobs, and people know it, is to talk up the city to organizations. So now that you've got what looks like the go-ahead on this stadium, Butch, who all have you been trying to talk to as far as bringing certain things into a dome stadium?
So the list is pretty long. Obviously, we've been talking to the NFL on and off since the draft occurred here. We have already booked WrestleMania for 2027. So we don't have the document signed, but we have a handshake agreement. They even said, you don't have to bid. If you can put a package together that meets our criteria, and we have that agreement, we sent people out to LA. I think about 80,000 people went to SoFi Stadium twice. It's a week-long event. It's broadcast in 55 countries. So let's put that out there as check the box. We have had numerous conversations with Greg Sankey at the SEC for both advice and guidance and opportunity. He is all in on Nashville, understands, will support a college football playoff. He connected us with the COO at the college football playoff. So we've had a phone conversation, actually a Zoom, and then we had an in-person meeting with college football playoff. We have had ongoing talks for several years with the Barrett-Jackson Auto Auction. It's a massive event that we have no space for. It's televised, it's high-end, it's not the normal, whatever event. It's just a cool, very different event that needs indoor space to produce. I'm leaving somebody out. College football playoff. The only thing we haven't talked to is the NCAA about the Final Four. SEC, college football playoff, NFL, auto auction, WrestleMania. I mean, those are all one-on-one, direct, almost negotiation. If not quite to that point, we had to get the building approved, but nobody has said anything except, y'all are crazy if you don't do this.
So last night, you and the devil work a deal together to get a big old rainstorm around the Taylor Swift concert?
Well, I won't say that. One, I certainly hoped and wanted it to come off. I was hoping for maybe an 8 o'clock start time as opposed to 6:30. So we could remind ourselves of what this means. That weekend, in particular, Taylor, and there are a lot of other things going on, is probably going to set a record for highest hotel revenue, maybe highest occupancy, but a concert that would be much better received with a roof over its head. And it's just a great example. We perform different than most markets. We can outperform most markets. It's not a pipe dream. It's not me going, oh yeah, I love Nashville, let's say good things. It is a fact. We deliver every time. So why not build the best mousetrap and then slay it so it's revenue again, so Council Lady Allen can have dollars to pay for roads and sidewalks and schools. We're a sales tax-based economy. We have to import revenue or we got to raise it on ourselves. I prefer importing it.
You may see in that picture Kelly Holcomb standing by in Murfreesboro. Kelly, if you got a couple of questions for Butch, lay them on him.
Well, once again, man, Butch answered a lot of my questions. I did see something on there, and I want to ask about this, that I do the state championship games every year on the TV, and I saw where you had 6 high school football games or something like that. I don't know, but would that be a situation? I don't know if y'all have talked to the TSSAA, because I would love not to have to go to Chattanooga or not to have to go to Cookeville to do it, to have it kind of in the central part of the state, like having the state championship games. Has there been any discussion with that?
Absolutely. Burke and I have talked directly to each other about our desire to host the state championship here. No offense to Cookeville, no offense to Chattanooga, but it belongs here and we'd love to host it. So we're going to make a hard run at that.
I totally
as the others.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that would just be such a cool thing for the high school kids, get to play in an NFL stadium. I think that would be so cool. So I know that this thing is going to have a roof on it. I understand that. Is it going to be a permanent roof or is it going to be like a retractable roof? And if it's a permanent, did y'all weigh the cost of both of them? Did y'all talk about both of them?
It's going to be permanent. Retractable was looked at, and really for the most part, the percentage of events that go on with a roof open is so small that it didn't seem worth the cost. So when people think, oh, nobody was looking at money or weren't trying to be frugal at the same time, we're looking at a large ticket item. We absolutely were. I probably fall on the I wish it was retractable side, but I get it, and having a roof over it is more important than what kind of roof.
Yeah, obviously the people the other night at the Taylor Swift concert would have wanted a roof over it. But my last thing is, Butch, I know that George told me that you and him were good friends. Do you actually know George to that level?
Say that.
Actually even know me.
Good question, Kelly. We'll have a sidebar.
Yeah, I'm sure we will.
George is prone to exaggeration.
Yeah, it was nice having you on the show.
I got to go.
No, After the break, within a minute or two, as we try to time all this out, Titans president.
Just as
Go.
you're winding out, Council Lady Allen is running for re-election at large.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that.
I'm retiring, so I can give a plug. One of the best council people ever.
She brought her own
Burkley
fan.
Allen.
It might get hot.
You realize this will now get every council person wanting to come on.
Yeah,
here.
and
Well, if they vote right, we might let them on. There we
We
go.
might. Okay, after the break, we're expected to be joined by Titans president Burke Nihill. Stick around. This is our coverage. We try to do something a little different today. This is an issue that is important to the community, and we think it's important as well. And we will talk more about this Dome Stadium when we come back.
Forget the fact that Sir Speedy Music City is owned by my BGA classmate James Warren. Their work stands on its own merit. James and his staff do incredible work, as evidenced by the huge banners at the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night. If you're looking for quality to help your marketing and business communications, and you want it at a reasonable price, these are your folks. Call them at 615-832-9511 or go to print at sirspeedymusiccity.com. And be sure to tell them Plaz sent you.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
This is my buddy and former Nashville Sounds PA announcer Eric Berner. I always laughed in the old days at Greer Stadium when I would walk in, Eric would immediately play my favorite song, Van Halen's Jump. But then I learned he actually has a real job with Rockcastle Wealth Advisors.
Yeah, George, that's what I do. I help people in the pursuit of making their money live as long as they do. Everybody's situation is different, so I use a customized and individualized, personalized approach to the person I'm working with. Old 401ks, retirement planning, insurance planning, inheritance planning. Those are things that people like to get some more information about.
One of the things I find is people don't even know where to start, and that's where you come in.
Yeah, so I can usually help people with an initial phone call or meeting that is a no charge and no obligation.
And I'll bet you have a phone number and a website.
I do, George. They can call me at 615-235-1058 or rockcastlewealth.com or Eric at rockcastlewealth.com.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700. Send us a message at celestemiddleton.com or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome to John English Antique Sports and Cards, located at 204 East Depot Street in beautiful downtown Shelbyville, Tennessee. Their phone number is area code 931-492-4304. John, obviously, I've been blown away by what I've seen at your place. I've now been there 3 times. But for the person who's never been, what should they expect?
Well, we have a 3,000 square foot store, George. Half of it is vintage cards in all sports. And then half of the store is, a lot of people call it the museum, where there's a lot of early equipment and just the history of sports in general. Baseball, football, basketball, golf, tennis, and other items.
When somebody comes in there that you know is a big sports fan, what is their normal reaction?
Well, I think that they're pleasantly surprised. And, of course, being in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is a very a small town that you would never expect a shop like we have to be in. So they're kind of, I don't want to say blown away, but as I said, pleasantly surprised.
We are back, and welcome back into what is our panel discussion of the new stadium that's going to be built downtown. Councilwoman at large Burkley Allen to my right. That's Butch Spyridon, the outgoing CEO and president, or is it president and CEO of the Convention and Visitors Bureau? Say that again? Has been. I don't buy that at all. Nobody gets that kind of retirement party for being a has-been. And we are joined by Zoom by Tennessee Titans president Burke Nihill, who was nice enough to join us. Burke, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, George. And good to see you, Councilmember Allen and Butch.
Hello, Burke.
So, Burke, take us through your role in trying to get this moving forward and what this has been like.
I think we have 30 minutes, right, George? So I'll have to give you the short version. It's been a long journey. I went back and looked a couple weeks ago, and the first record of a calendar invite that I found was from 2018. That's how long this organization has been meeting internally, meeting with the Sports Authority, meeting with others around the city, an attempt to really just find a better way forward. And anyone who's followed the story knows that the story didn't start off as a journey to end where we did with a new stadium plan. We spent a long time trying to make it work within a renovation plan, and only pivoted off of that when the numbers just didn't add up, that just didn't pencil as the right way forward. But we just kept working, and we'd hit pivots and walls and just keep working to clear them with creativity and just a general spirit of perseverance, realizing that we couldn't just rest on the status quo. The building just has too many needs, and those needs are just costing more and more money. And the current status of the lease, put too much of the burden, from our perspective, on the taxpayers. And so we knew that there had to be a better way forward if we just kept working at it. And really proud of how so many different people came together and entities came together to come up with this solution. The state saw a vision and participated. The hotel industry saw a vision and wanted to be a part of it, and so lobbied for the hotel tax that's going to be a part of the solution. And then lastly, the mayor and city council spent a lot of time digging in and getting to know what was being proposed, challenging it, scrutinizing it, making it better, and ultimately we feel like this result is kind of the best of how these problems can be solved, which is by coming together and just believing that with enough hard work, with enough listening and empathy, true win-win-win situations are possible. And that's where we feel like this one's ended up.
Okay, I'm going to take you through a series of things that get asked of me. And let me say up front, I'm a proponent of this new stadium, excited that it's going to happen. As I said, when both Nissan and Bridgestone were built, nobody would benefit more from it than a sports talk show host over a 30-year period. Burke, in the funding sources piece of this, you've got $840 million that comes from team, PSL, NFL. What's the breakdown of the numbers?
So we don't have a specific breakdown to share at this point. We're actually in the process of doing due diligence. It's actually why I'm not with you today, is we're working hard to try to get as much information as we can to break that down. The reality is, so the state has contributed $500 million. The city has contributed through revenue bonds working off of the 1% hotel tax, in-stadium sales tax, and half of the sales tax from the campus that the city plans to redevelop, as well as some miscellaneous ticket taxes and that sort of thing. The city revenue bonds will be $760 million of contribution. So that leaves $840 million to ultimately complete the project as budgeted. And that's just something that the Titans are responsible for delivering. And to your point, we're going to look to the NFL for help. PSLs, like every project of this scale and scope over the last 20 or so years, PSLs will be a part of this solution as well. But whatever the number ends up being, whether it ends up being higher than $840 million, the Titans are responsible for cost overruns. We have to deliver that to the project. The question about PSLs is one I know a lot of people have, and the reality is we've got to do the work on that. This is something that has only become a reality over the last couple of weeks, and not that we haven't been working on it, but there's things like market research and surveys that it would have been getting the cart in front of the horse to be doing this earlier than now. So we are we're hard at work at it, and we will obviously communicate more specific answers on all of that as soon as we have the information. But the bottom line is the Titans are ultimately responsible for delivering the difference between those other funding sources that I just mentioned.
I can just add to Burke's point, and as the council looked at this deal, the city plugged in $10 million a year from the hotel tax. And I argued a year ago it should be higher. Today, 1 penny, which is what's dedicated to the stadium, is generating $20 million. So the plan still calls for $10 million. And the reason I bring that up is as people go, well, who's going to bail it out? Or we don't have enough money. We're already $10 million a year ahead in terms of revenues pledged to the stadium. That's a pretty nice place to be in before you ever break ground.
And I'll add to that, as Burke mentioned, the process of going back and forth with the council, a number of things were added that make it a better deal, I think, for the citizens. And one of those things, Councilmember Zulfat-Suarez suggested that we put in a mechanism for paying the bonds off early. And some of that overage will go into both paying the bonds off and ensuring that the capital fund that will keep it in first class condition is fully funded. So if we have been, as conservative as we think we need to be, and there is additional revenue coming in, we've got good uses for that I think will be beneficial to the citizens of Nashville.
Burke, how many dollars do you need from PSLs?
We literally don't have a number, George. I mean, I think it's safe to say that it will be, more than $100 million, but we really don't have the number yet. We actually went out into the market with a survey to existing PSL members just last week. That survey has hypothetical questions about, what existing PSL holders would love to see in a new building from an amenity standpoint, the types of seating products, that sort of thing. And it asks hypothetical questions about PSLs and pricing that will help us to get a better idea of what those numbers should be and will be. But we're probably still months away from having an honest and certain answer. We've had to go as part of this process. We've had to go and work with banks and get financing based on that being an uncertain number. And it's something that the banks have supported and the NFL has supported on the condition that we will go through this work and ultimately arrive at what is the right number.
Help me with this, because I may be wrong as to where this came from, but you all, I guess in the survey piece of this, brought out a bunch of options of pricing to potential ticket holders. So help me with that. Where did the numbers come from?
People a lot smarter than me, frankly, George. This is a really sophisticated process that is built by people who've done this sort of thing. There's data engineers. If someone started a survey and answered the first 3 questions one way, they went in a different direction on the survey than if they'd answered the 3 questions differently. And ultimately, the product of this survey, when you get thousands of responses, ultimately help to generate what is actionable and useful information. So really, depending on how you answered early questions or later questions in the survey, you would have seen totally different numbers. And there's an element of trust in the providers who are helping us with this process. It's a business called CSL. They've done this for 20 plus years, and the idea is that those questions will ultimately generate the information that we need to start making those decisions.
Help me with this, because we've got some specific graphics of 8 to 10 pricing options, and I realize it sounds like I'm just, taking this point and driving it, but it's the one that concerns everybody about where this is all going. So are these, help me, where did these numbers come from?
I'm sorry to keep coming back to it, George. They're literally not representative of anything that is planning in any respect whatsoever. This is a survey that's meant to generate just information about the market. I have seen in the last couple of weeks probably 10 different varieties of how PSL pricing could end up working. I think one of the main questions that is probably driving what's in your mind and what a lot of fans have is ultimately, will I be able to afford PSLs in the next building? And we're working hard to make sure that question is unequivocally yes, that there will be price points that are similar to the price points in the building today. Certainly there will be more expensive options as well. There is a trend, it's in buildings that are already here in Nashville and across the country where, there are more premium options and those carry higher price points. But we are working very, very hard to make sure that both in terms of PSL pricing and ultimately the pricing to Titans games, that there are similar entry points. And I mean, not just a few, a decent percentage of similar entry points as compared to the current Nissan Stadium.
Yeah, look, I get in some ways support the concept that those of us who use it as ticket buyers ought to be paying a certain piece of it. When I bought my 2 season tickets in day one of whatever it was called back then, in the late 90s, I have no problem. It was Adelphia, wasn't it? Yeah. I have no problem with that. And I would not want to be the person that has to figure all of this out to try to be fair, because on one hand, you've got existing ticket holders who would like to continue in it, but they also don't want to be priced so far out of the market that they can't be. And so I guess, help me, were the options that were presented in the survey just to sort of see what the temperature is?
That's a good way to put it. It's literally hypotheticals. There is that survey was not backing in from some sort of plan and testing to see whether the plan was workable, not in the least bit. Again, depending on how people answered the questions in the survey, there may have been 1,000 different variables about what they would have seen throughout the rest of the survey. It is literally just a scientifically driven approach to getting the right information that will help us ultimately decide what is a sensible and strategic and smart plan. And when we get to the point of planning, we will be using that information certainly to help understand that, what the market is and how we can make sure that we've got, the right approach to building out the PSL program and ticket pricing and that sort of thing. But it will also be informed by our organizational objectives, right? The ones that I just shared about making sure that there are similar pricing points from today's building to the next. So there will be a very human element once we have all of this information to ultimately setting what the program looks like.
So I'll just emphasize that I think I paid $1,500 per PSL for 2 PSLs on the goal line in 1998 for the 99 season. So I'd like for you to keep me within 10 yards of that seat for close to that same price 30 years later. Is that okay?
We'll work on it for you, Butch. Here's one of the things that I think too is we've tried to communicate and we'll continue to communicate. There's really not an apples to apples in terms of the building. So to your question, Butch, about your seats on the end zone, we have a building today that was the right building for the 1990s, but by today's standards, and again, there's comparable facilities in this city, let alone the rest of the country. There's really a diversity of experience that's been adopted in stadium buildings and arenas. There are certainly some people who, like in the 90s, their ultimate experience was to buy a ticket and come sit in their seat and park and watch the game with a good view of the game. But there are more and more people who want to have a game-long social experience, or they want to bring their families and be able to move around a little bit with their kids. There's people who want a premium hosting opportunity for clients. And so if someone sat, let's just say in your seat, Butch, right in the end zone, and they're thinking that product is going to be exactly the same in a new stadium, it might not be. There's really not an apples to apples comparison. We are starting to build a new building, not carrying over an old building and just having the same thing come out of the ground in newer form. We're starting from scratch, and we're trying to build the building for the next generation. I was going to say 30 years, but we're hoping it's a lot longer than 30 years. And it'll be a lot longer than 30 years. And that's a building that is, it takes into account a modern fan experience, a diversity of experience, a flexibility, so that it can adapt and evolve as fan behavior and experience expectations change in the coming decades. So we're going to have to continue to communicate this with our fans. We understand that and really appreciate how many of our fans love their current experience, and they are they're going to potentially feel a sense of loss in that their seat in the current stadium may not carry over as the exact experience in a new building. But we're building this next building to serve Nashville Titans fans, everyone in this city, in this region, well, for decades and decades to come. And so you've got to build it forward looking and not necessarily backwards.
So to that point, Burke, and correct me, wouldn't be surprising if I was wrong, but I remember you and I talking, and some reference to like the top of the upper deck, or even just the upper deck today versus the sight lines, the worst sight lines in the new stadium. Seem like you're not anywhere near that far away anywhere in the stadium. So everything's closer in. Everything has a better experience, to your point. Am I right about that, or did I misunderstand?
No, that's absolutely right. I mean, we started with the idea that we were not going to be putting a bad experience in a new building. That was really old thinking. That was from a few decades ago, that you tried to get in as many seats as you could and sell up into the rafters, even if it was a terrible experience, both from a viewing product and from an access perspective. The term nosebleed seat is not a favorable term on the seat that someone would be sitting in. And so every single ticket in this building is going to be a fantastic experience. And what you were referring to, Butch, is we even have some side-by-sides where the architects have drawn for us the current building and kind of where the different seating products land, and then the new building. And the upper deck in the new building will come in somewhere about halfway up into the club of the current building, to give you a comparison. So what today is some of our most premium seats in the club and have just a beautiful sight line of the game, that is where the upper deck starts in the new building. And even the very last row of a new building is just so much closer to the field and has a better view and experience. We're really trying to think too about how do you amenitize those upper areas where in the future, can those be some of the best experiences for the general population of the fan who comes to a Titans game or anything else? If you put that level of thinking and not have them be thought of as the the lesser than experiences in a building, we believe that this could actually be, truly that there is not a bad experience in the house, but everyone who gets a ticket to come through the doors will just have a dynamite experience.
Burke, in the new stadium, obviously there are going to be a lot more events than have been able to be used at Nissan Stadium. Will a Titans season ticket holder, PSL holder, have the right of first refusal on any events in that building?
That is a very sophisticated question, George, and I appreciate you asking it. We're working through all those things. The truth of it is, we don't know exactly how that's going to play out because, for example, this last weekend, I don't know, unless you're under a rock, you know that Taylor Swift was around for 3 nights, and that's ultimately something that we, as a stadium operator, work really, really hard to provide a great experience for everyone who walks through the doors. But Taylor Swift's promoters ultimately, sell tickets to that show, and but we do understand there'd be some great value in being able to at least get PSL holders an opportunity to experience whatever comes through there to the extent that we can. I think it'll have to be more nuanced than that is our initial analysis, but we are paying attention to that and know that that'd be great value to deliver.
Burke, Kelly Holcomb is standing by in Murfreesboro as part of the show. Kelly, you got anything you want to throw out there?
Yeah, I was, I asked Burkley, which was probably an unfair question, but you're going to have a dome over it. And I'm bringing this up because I was reading the other day about the NFLPA, and they go through this every couple of years. But when I played, all my teammates wanted grass fields. Obviously, you're going to go with an artificial surface, but unless you're going to go the Arizona route, which you bring it in. But what if the NFL, because, and I don't know if they can ever do this or know that they ever would, but they're making the case as the NFLPA is saying that there's more injuries on artificial surfaces than there are natural grass. What if they came back with that and y'all already had the artificial surface? Where do you go from there?
Well, look, I think we wouldn't be the only domed facility, right?
Right.
In the NFL. And I think the truth of it is, organizations like ours, the NFL, our NFL colleagues, I can tell you that we don't take anything more seriously than player safety. And, they're always doing research. They're always studying data. And in our case, you may or may not know, we are actually this off season, we are moving from natural grass to an artificial hybrid surface. It's something that unless you've been in our bubble, you've probably never seen. This surface that we are going to be installing is a hybrid. It's a monofilament surface, which is the safest of artificial surfaces, but rather than your standard infill, we're using a natural infill. It's a cork coconut based infill product that shucks off just like dirt would. And so it actually in our studies is going to be a more consistent and reliable surface. If anybody remembers the Music City Bowl a couple of years ago when Tennessee was playing, and then we played a game right after, we're in this in-between climate. We're in a transition zone is the technical term in Nashville. And so it's really, really hard to grow grass consistently in the winter months. If you're up north, there's varieties of grass that grow and stay hardy, August through the winter. If you're a little bit further south, same thing. It's obviously much easier to grow grass. We're in this in-between zone. And our surface has become known across the NFL as a very inconsistent surface. And that has nothing to do with our grounds crew, who is incredibly diligent and smart. And we have consultants, and it's just been year after year. It's hard to get it right. And so we've been hard at work trying to identify what is the best surface that we could possibly install to have this consistent and reliable surface. And the results were really interesting. We did research, took research that the NFL had done and others had done. And, for example, on injuries, our grass surface over the 2-year study period that we followed actually had more lower extremity injuries than all 6 surfaces that already existed in the NFL that used the monofilament artificial. And so there's just advancements in turf technology that are happening all the time. And these conversations will continue, of course, and the research and studying will continue, of course. But, it's our belief that, having actually studied this and gotten into it in a deep way, thinking player safety, we've got a head coach who I don't think operates like any other head coach in the NFL. He is very, very player focused and player centric. And our training staff was involved in this process. And the data-driven decision was that, considering our transition zone climate, that the best surface to ultimately play NFL football, considering our transition zone climate, was this hybrid surface. And so that's the same surface that, as of today, we would carry over into a new stadium. But maybe there's something better by that point. This is a surface that you literally have to water, and we can't keep it covered for too long without having mushrooms grow out of it. So this isn't something that, when people think about the 1980s, AstroTurf carpet, that it's evolving, right? And we'll continue to monitor that, and I'm sure the NFL will as well.
Yeah, unfortunately, I played on that AstroTurf a long time ago and had a bunch of concussions. So technology has obviously come, and I did read about the hybrid surface, which is really a cool deal. So my last question is what would you like in the new stadium that's not in Nissan Stadium right now, I guess, for the fans and the players?
Yeah, I think starting with the players, we are definitely trying to design some elements that really encourage home field advantage. The shape of the bowl and the fact that it would have the roof above, we picture this being something that we can have a really incredible game day production, and it would be the environment that creates a really kind of loud, right on top of you environment for the players to really hopefully have this refreshing, move into a new building where we create a home field advantage that's just different and takes advantage of the some unique architectural elements. We're even thinking of some creative things. Don't want to break news, but about how we can ultimately even be kind of curating a fan experience about where the super fans sit, that sort of thing, to really make a home field advantage for the players. Of course, that's an awesome thing for Titans fans as well to be in that environment. But for the fans more generally, it does come down to every single experience in this building just being an incredible experience. And another meeting I just left this morning was, how do you get food and beverage right? A lot of the issues that we just will continue to kind of work through is this old infrastructure in terms of how food and beverage works. And if you can start over completely, we believe that you can have this really incredibly convenient experience that will just be much more enjoyable. If somebody can get something to eat and get right back to their seats. We're trying to carry that kind of thinking across the entire building. You don't get this opportunity very often, and so we want to make sure that this is just an absolutely delightful, customer obsessed building design, so that it's just a great place to walk through the doors, no matter whether it's for a Titans game, a concert, a community event, anything.
Sounds like a great place, man. I appreciate it. That's all I got, George.
Okay. Kelly, thank you. Burke, before we let you go, obviously one of the things you're kind of preaching in this is some patience, and I get it, for trying to figure out price points and all that kind of stuff. What else would you like to leave fans who are watching this or will watch it later after the fact? Anything you'd like to leave them with that you think they need to hear?
Sure. Thank you for that on the patience piece. I promise you that we're diligent. We're working hard on these things. This is a real measured twice, cut once situation in terms of a lot of this planning. We could rush to some answers on things, but that's how you make mistakes, and we don't want to make mistakes. We want this to be the right plan for everything that has happened up until now, and the decisions that we'll be making going forward. I hope that Titans fans are getting excited about this, though. I mean, this is something that from our seat, having been through 5 years of this journey, trying to find a better way forward, and frankly, several times feeling like we're bumping up against a wall that we might not be able to clear. The fact that we've gotten to this point, there's a really, really, really special building in the future that Titans fans will be able to come to watch Titans games, and people who have no interest in football will be able to come to for concerts and dirt shows and community events and everything else. We believe that this building is going to be really special. It's going to be an icon for the next generation of Nashville. And maybe the last thing I would leave people with, I don't know how much you've talked about this, but one of the things I'm personally most excited about is that a core piece of this transaction is ultimately giving this land back to the citizens of Nashville. Everyone who's a citizen of Davidson County is a fractional owner of some of the best real estate in the entire world. Developers are lining up to try to help bring that land to life. And it's as we sit here at 3:30 on a Monday, it's just asphalt parking lots. And there's a day coming where the land outside of this stadium is going to transition from asphalt parking lots to something that is going to be a real game changer for the city, both culturally and financially, since the city owns this land and will be able to start to benefit financially and from real estate taxes and things like that. Having been a part of this project and seen some of the thinking and really kind of let my mind go towards what it's going to be like, it is going to be one of the special places in the country, and it's coming to Nashville.
Burke, thank you for taking the time. I hope later in the summer that maybe we can do this again as you all get closer to some important decisions.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Burke.
That's Titans president Burke Nihill joining us on the show. So we told him we'd get him out of here by about 3:30, and we were close within a minute or two. Butch, on your end, end this however you want to end it.
First would be a thank you to the Metro Council for both the work that went into studying this, regardless of the hype and the rhetoric. It was thorough. It was deep. It was, for me, it was painful, but it was right. And, a lot of community meetings, a lot of questions, and the deal got better, to the council's credit. At the end of the day, the deal got better. I'm grateful that we've now moved to let's go give Nashville something it deserves, and let's make sure the council was right. So I'm committed, even in retirement, to working on making sure the council was right. I will be around, and we're going to over-deliver.
By the way, pretty nice retirement party.
Thank you.
Burkley, how would you like to end this? Anything you'd like to tell listeners, fans, whatever?
I just want to say, yes, we did study. This is my notebook. I want people to know I spent a lot of time reading through a lot of documents to the thickness of it. That's the most important part. I got inches and inches of data that the council studied. It was a better process because of the community engagement. The community worked hard to make it better. The council worked hard to make it better. Sometimes it was difficult, but I think in the end, we've come up with something that is good for the people. It's going to put more money back in schools and sidewalk. There's some great benefits that will help the community. The One Community program looks at opportunity neighborhoods and education. That's important. And we've also got some funding streams that are going to go back to the general fund. So it's not just about football. It's about great being for all of Nashville.
It's about making Nashville better. And I think this does that. I just got to add to Council Lady Allen's point. In the heat of the final debates, the opponents were, we haven't had enough time. Why are we rushing? We're 2 years of studying, not enough time. And then there's $48 million that the Titans are putting in is nothing. It's not much money. So we heard all that right before. After it passed, then we heard, well, we've been studying this a long time, and this $48 million is a lot of money. So I knew it was right when the rhetoric changed after it passed to, yeah, we had done this a long time. Yes, the Titans are putting in $48 million that the council gets to determine where that goes. Where while they were arguing against it, why are we rushing? So that just was the bat light that went up to say, we did this right.
Thank you both for taking the time to come out here, be a part of this.
Thank you.
And let me also thank both Billy Derrick and David Wilson down below for their help in trying to make this happen. This is a difficult deal. To Joel Butcher, who's out in the audience at Fordyce Center, let me thank him as well. We got a lot of different microphones in a lot of different places. And yeah, you may have heard an occasional feedback, but all in all, the job this whole group did was phenomenal in putting this together. We'll go to the break. Kelly, you're not off the hook yet. Stat of the day is coming, and then some of our thoughts on what we have heard. Stick around. This is the George Plaster Show from the beautiful Ford Ice Center in Bellevue.
Year number 2 of the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night was awesome. And the reason is really simple. I chose Strike and Spare, and they were amazing. They have great food, great bowling, and a staff that is truly ready to go the extra mile to help you. They have 5 family fun centers in the area to choose from, and for more info, go to strikeandspare.com or call them at 615-824-5685.
How am I going to get to work? My car's totaled.
Skylar, our team is making a call right now. We'll get you a rental car. Don't worry.
That's a relief.
Call us 24/7. We're here. We're going to help.
Now that the weather has gotten considerably warmer, there's not a better place to spend a morning or an afternoon than Riverside Golf Links. So you've probably noticed the weather has gotten a lot warmer, and that means a couple of things in Nashville. It means baseball, and it really means golf. And for me, it's a visit to Riverside Golf Links. The course has improved dramatically. There are now 27 holes, including a 9-hole executive course. If you want tee times or more information, dial them up at 615-847-5074.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between. Discover what Hit City has to offer. Single game tickets are on sale now.
Hello, this is Celeste Middleton, a State Farm agent in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I want to help my neighbors and local businesses be proactive and assess their risk before something unexpected happens. We want you to have a thorough understanding of your coverages to have the best protection when you need it. We can create a personal price plan for you. Our team has over 70 years of experience helping people in Middle Tennessee. We have an awesome team with integrity and provide honest and prompt communication, and we love what we do and genuinely care about everyone we work with at our office. Give us a call at 615-895-2700, send us a message at celestemiddleton.com, or walk in at our office at 803 North Thompson Lane in Murfreesboro. We would love to earn your business.
Welcome back into the George Plaster Show. It's now time for Stat of the Day, presented by John English Antique Sports and Cards out in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Beautiful place out there. Go take a visit whenever you got the free time. They're open on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 5. Also on the weekdays from 10 a.m. to 5, Tuesday through Friday, that is. So great place. Go check them out in Shelbyville, Tennessee. All right. Stat of the day. Kelly Holcomb's favorite segment every show. We're going NBA. LeBron James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for 5th place on the all-time NBA postseason rebounds list Saturday night in Los Angeles. James currently sits in the top 5 for points, rebounds, and assists in NBA playoff history. Only one other player has ever been in the top 5 in points, rebounds, and assists in postseason history. Can you name him?
Okay, Kelly. Hopefully they won't gong us right off the bat. Here's one that popped into my mind. Magic Johnson.
Oh, that's a good one. I was thinking like Oscar Robertson. I don't.
Okay, Billy, read that thing again.
The whole.
Yes.
All right. LeBron James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for 5th place on the all-time NBA postseason rebounds list Saturday night. He currently sits, that's LeBron James, in top 5 for points, rebounds, and assists in NBA playoff history. Only one other player has ever been in the top 5 in points, rebounds, and assists in postseason history. Can you name him?
Okay. Here are a couple of things that come to mind in trying to figure this out. Bill Russell should be an obvious, except I don't think he scored the kind of points. He won a lot of titles, participated in a ton of playoff games. I don't think he scored the kind of points that would get him on that list. Michael Jordan, an obvious on points, not so obvious on assists or rebounds. Kelly, what do you think?
I would think Jordan would be on rebounds. I wouldn't think on assists, and not like Wilt Chamberlain. No question, not on assists. I wouldn't think. So
does either Kobe or Shaq get anywhere close in this? Because you're trying to think about people who have played in a lot of playoff opportunities and had a lot of deep runs. And, James Worthy is another of those Lakers. Now, Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish.
There's so many players. Like I'm stumped. I don't know who the player would be. I mean, there's so many guys, just like you named off right there. Like Bird would be a good.
Go ahead and reveal without us picking one. Wilt. Add gum.
And I said Wilt. I didn't think he would be. I didn't think he would be there on assist though.
Oh, I wouldn't either, other than just simple longevity and number of playoffs, because I never heard anybody say, "Oh, Wilt's a great passer."
Exactly.
I mean, we know he was a great scorer, and we know he got a lot of Laker teams to the finals, very few of which won. Good question.
Welcome. Credit to David.
Yeah. I've tried to give credit today. Y'all did a fabulous job. For those who don't know it, with all of the different microphones, a speaker so we could try to hear Kelly on one Zoom, Burke Nihill on another, this was not an easy process at all. And I think these guys did a great job. Can you put yourself on camera?
Unfortunately, I was not able to figure that aspect of it out.
That's another positive. Welcome. Okay,
that was a cheap shot, George.
It was. So, Kelly, what did you think?
I was quite impressed. I really was with all three of them. I thought Burke Nihill, I mean, when he started talking about the stuff with the, y'all are smarter than I am when you're talking about all the financial stuff. So I have to get back to what I know with football. But when he started talking about hybrid grass, and I'd read about that, that was pretty
oil.
Yeah, that was pretty unbelievable. So I thought all three of them were impressive. It made me feel better for the people of Nashville about getting this stadium. Obviously when you talk from 292 million to 2.1 billion, that's a big jump and a big leap. So, when he started talking about the hotel tax and, they, with all the things that they think they're going to get, they got like 90% of it already, if all that stuff kicks in. That was pretty impressive, because I don't think it's going to be on the burden and on the backs of all the people in Nashville with the PSLs and all that stuff, which that's only a small percentage. But when you start talking about things like that, and you start talking about hotel tax, well, Nashville has a lot of people coming into the Nashville area with the country music and everything. And a lot of their dollars is going to be helped build this stadium. So I thought that was really impressive.
So obviously, I really hammered in on the PSL stuff. And you all have heard me say that that is a real concern to me, because clearly the numbers are going to be higher than they were in the first stadium. Okay, I don't think anybody is disputing that. The only thing Burke was really able to shed on that was that it'll be over 100 million that is asked for from PSLs. Well, the first stadium was 71 million in PSL sales. This is an area that I think they've got to be really careful, because this is not a fan base. This is not a Packer fan base where tickets, are put in people's wills. It's a newer franchise. And as such, you've got a first wave, Kelly, of people who bought PSLs 25 years ago, and they may not really be the audience. I'm 25 years older as of yesterday. And and so it's different. And they've got to be very careful that they don't price so many people out that they lose a ton of customers. But at the same time, they've got to raise enough money to help with this. And, I think, first of all, I'm not sure it's a job I would want. But secondly, I think the sooner the better that they can get those numbers out there, the better. Because I think for a lot of us, I would like to be able to purchase PSLs, but I'm not a millionaire, and this is going to require some time if the numbers that are out there turn out to be close to accurate.
Yeah, and that's what the fans think of. I mean, it's an individual deal. So, just like you said, there's the people that support teams. I mean, most of them aren't millionaires, and they just want to go have a good experience. And I've said it before, I don't understand how, even if you look at the inflation from 292 million to 2.1 billion, like when you carry a family of four to a game, you've already paid for your PSL tickets. Plus now you got to go pay for something to eat for the kids, something to drink for the kids, maybe a toy for the kid. Like it's never ending and it's ongoing. And that's what fans think about. They think about my personal pocket. How much is that going to dent my personal funds? And
sure,
those were great questions that you asked. And that's something he did say that, it won't be 71 million. It's going to be more than 71 million this time. It's going to be well over 100 million. But, people want to know, like, if they want to stay in that fan base and they want to stay going to games, they want to know how much they're going to pay.
Billy, you watched a lot of this without being on mic. What were a couple of your takeaways?
Well, I thought it was interesting, the perspective of Butch Spyridon, veteran in Nashville. He's done a lot in the area, as opposed to Burke Nihill, probably not as used to the area. I mean, I could be wrong there, but, Butch there's nobody better with the professional teams in Nashville, country music, as Kelly said. I mean, he knows it all. So I thought it was interesting kind of getting two different perspectives of Burke, specifically with the Titans. I mean, a lot of it is still up in the air, right? I mean, it's not like they were unclear, but they said they have to sort through a lot at this point in the process and the stages of planning. So I don't know. He's excited. You can tell he's excited. Butch is excited. Burkley, everybody's excited about it, but there's still a lot to be sorted out. And that's what I think is the interesting aspect.
On Butch's end, there's so much that he has done for this city. Probably the most valuable player that this city has had over a 30 to 35 year period. I think personally he would like to cap that off by being able to say, I helped bring a Super Bowl to the city. And the NFL draft, there's no question that draft caught everybody by surprise. The level of the numbers, were double in Nashville what Kansas City had 2 weeks ago, 600,000 to about 300,000. I think for Butch, I think he would really like to cap the career resume with being able to say, I helped to bring a Super Bowl to the city. Because for a long time, Kelly, even though he may have thought it, there weren't enough hotel spaces. And now that appears to be something that has gone away. The other thing that's gone on is the NHL has held a draft here. They're about to hold a second one. They've held an all-star game here, the likes of which from an entertainment value have never been seen. So the city has a lot more track record than it did 25 years ago. That's one of the big changes.
Well, I mean, you look at the draft when they had the draft there. I mean, they're talking about that being the best draft ever. It's just an entertainment city. You've got the home of country music. You've got so many people coming in here just like the Middle Tennessee area. They said there's over 100 people moving to the Middle Tennessee area every day. So there's so many people here. I just think this, from talking to them, I didn't really know what to expect, George. I really didn't. But this was awesome that you brought this up. I think if people watch this is going to give them a little bit more comfort. Now, I know they want to know what they're going to have to pay in the PSLs. But I think this is a home run, just like Butch was talking about. It's a home run for the city of Nashville. The community is going to, going to benefit tremendously from it. I just think it's a win-win, both sides. And, we don't have the fan base, like you said, at Green Bay or like at Cleveland or places like that. But, if they can get to that point, I mean, it's a great city to enjoy entertainment, music, football, hockey, trying to get a Major League Baseball team here. You've got the Nashville Sounds. It's just, there's something to do all the time. And it's just, that's why the NFL, Butch Spyridon said it. He's like, the NFL loves Nashville, and I agree with him.
We'll take a final break, and then Plaster Bet of the Day is coming up next from the beautiful Fordyce Center in Bellevue.
As the trusted premier custom home builder in Middle Tennessee, Donnelly Timmons has over 20 years of experience in the industry. Whether you're looking to build your dream home or renovate your current home, their team will ensure that every client and every remodel is unique, luxurious, and completed on time within budget. Founders Dustin Timmons and Joey Donnelly have over 25 years of construction experience in the Nashville area. Together, they have completed projects in Forest Hills, Oak Hill, Green Hills, Franklin, and Brentwood. Dustin and Joey believe that communication is the most important aspect of all construction projects. Therefore, they personally manage each project themselves and are involved in job site activities on a daily basis. Their commitment to quality and integrity has earned them an outstanding reputation among their clients. Contact them to set an appointment for a free consultation or to view some of their completed projects. Give them a call at 615-456-7983 or log on to DonnellyTimmons.com.
Starting to save for your future doesn't have to be difficult. Let Wilson Bank and Trust help tone up your financial goals this year. Our certificates of deposits or CDs can help your money work harder with our competitive rates, earning you more than ever before. WBT checking options allow you to earn rewards you can really use, like a high interest rate or cash back on check card purchases when you meet some e-banking qualifications. Visit your closest Wilson Bank and Trust office or online at wilsonbank.com to get started today. Member FDIC.
Family owned and operated for more than 2 decades, Alaco Fine Wood Floors is Nashville and Middle Tennessee's choice for premium quality hardwood floors. Since 1995, Jimmy Alaco and his army of employees have embodied the approach of taking pride in one's craft and providing superior customer service, growing from a one-man shop to a team of 23 professionals who share the founder's passion for quality craftsmanship and customer satisfaction. If you are interested in contacting them, you can find their headquarters at 2505 Winford Avenue in Berry Hill, or give them a call at 615-356-0303. Again, that's 615-356-0303, or log on to alacofinewoodfloors.com. Alaco Fine Wood Floors, serving Middle Tennessee's hardwood flooring needs since 1995.
At Baird, we have a different slant on global financial advice. that global capabilities mean nothing without personal attention. We have investor relationships in 35 countries and market expertise in over 40 industry verticals, all to help make the most important investment connections of all, yours. Global financial advice with a client-first approach. It's the shape of things to come. Discover the Baird difference at BairdDifference.com.
Hey, thank you for meeting with me today. The insurance company has made an offer.
Already? How?
They've offered you the entire policy.
Thank you, Blair.
You're so welcome.
Final segment on a Wednesday. Good thing nobody could hear me just then. Had myself muted. Final segment on a Monday here from the beautiful Fordyce Center. It's time for Plaster's Bet of the Day, powered by Bart Durham Injury Law, the best in the business. George, are you ready? We got to check how you did last weekend, though, first, before we get your picks for tonight. Carolina, win. Philadelphia, loss. Phoenix, win. So not a bad weekend, all in all.
God bless the Carolina Hurricanes. They have been money at home.
You've just hammered them.
When they've been home, I've hammered them. They got hammered yesterday on the road. They got beat 8-4. Embarrassing.
That doesn't happen in the NHL.
No, 8 goals. Whew. Okay, so what did I pick today, Billy? 2 games? Okay, let's take a look at these. Yeah, I've come full circle. I'm going Lakers tonight, and yet I know that in one of these backs against the wall, oh, you can sit there and shake your head all you want, Kelly. My neck is out on the line. Yours is not. I'm going Lakers.
Yeah, I think that's a loss, George. I believe Golden State will come back and win tonight. I really do.
Okay, so that one is at 9 o'clock. That will be a highly watched game because Golden State down 2-1. They cannot afford to be down 3-1. The Lakers know this has got a little bit of a knockout punch in there. We'll see what happens. And then I think I took one hockey game, Edmonton at home against Vegas. I just think Edmonton's got a lot of firepower. They've got 2 of the top 5 scorers in the league in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're pretty darn good.
They can't be stopped.
Well, if they get any level of goaltending, because that is their big bugaboo, good goaltending, this team could be playing in June.
So who do we think amongst all you NHL guys, who is the favorite to win the Stanley Cup right now?
I don't think there is one. I think when Boston went out, when they didn't advance, that this thing is wide open.
Okay, all right.
As wide open as I've seen in a while. Carolina in the East is really good. Billy, help me.
Panthers.
The Panthers.
Florida's playing really good. Florida's playing really good. They're hot at the right time.
I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, I know we got to run. Guys down below, thank you for the good work in trying to make the sound work. Kelly, you behave until tomorrow.
George, I was just going to say I appreciate that, but I was going to give David and Billy, I thought y'all did an incredible job today. I know I'm always on you, Billy, but I thought you did well.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, that means a lot coming from you. It really does.
Yes, I say it doesn't mean squat. Is that what you're saying?
No, thank you, George.
Thank you. Okay, tomorrow on the show, Tony Basilio out of Knoxville will join us. Try to hook up with Herm Edwards as well. Until then, so long, everybody.